Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
I'm AJ Hoge, author of Effortless English. Learn to speak English like a native. Speak English fluently, speak powerfully, speak confidently, speak English effortlessly. You join my VIP program. You commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com. All right, we're going to talk to Kenny today, my friend Kenny, who I chatted with, a week or two ago. We talked about living in cars. And I think tonight we're going to talk about just family and fatherhood and all of that. So let's just not waste any time and get started. Okay.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, very good. How about you?
Good. A little late. I was about to start. One of the babies starts going crazy for food, so a little late.
No worries. We've upgraded our internet, so it shouldn't cut out and it shouldn't have a problem. But I don't want to curse it.
Yeah. Great. Okay, good.
Error. It seems a lot clearer and a lot louder, a lot nicer. So let's hope it stays that way.
Excellent. Fantastic.
So yeah, I actually forgot to grab my headphones. Let me grab them real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. Are we live on the air already?
We are indeed.
Okay. Let me grab the headphones that I just remembered.
All right. So Kenny's getting his headphones. We'll start chatting. Kenny is on the island of Bali, where he lives.
Yeah,
right.
Excellent. Yeah, since the last time we chat, we've installed a few new lights, so it's a bit brighter, and we've upgraded the internet. So
it does look brighter. It looks good. There you go. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. Fantastic. All right. So I think today we're going to talk about fatherhood and family.
Yeah.
Because we obviously I got started at a very late age, but you at a fairly late age, right? How old were you when your daughter was born?
Well, let's see. I'm 50 now. She just turned 8, so I must have been 42 at the time, but go back 9 months, 10 months, and 41-ish.
Right.
So yeah, right around 41, 42. And yeah, it's been a learning adventure, I should say. Things that you don't expect. Yeah, some wise person told me once, if you wait until you're ready, you'll never have a baby because you're never ready.
Right. Exactly. And you, because you weren't really you weren't like. Obviously you waited so long. You're probably like me, where I'm guessing that for many years you thought, I'm never going to have kids.
Yeah, I did. We didn't really plan on having kids or anything, and it wasn't really part of my plan. But I'm so glad that I didn't listen to myself.
Exactly, right.
It's turned out to be probably the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yes.
But can't let my daughter hear that, or else she'll get a big head and a big ego.
Yeah, it's like I was the same, and it's interesting because, like you said, it's like it's so easy to like convince yourself that, like, you can think of all the reasons why you don't want to do it, and why you can think of all the difficulties. You've seen them in other people, but then you don't. Well, I think maybe it's harder to see what's great, right? That's maybe less obvious from the outside.
It's true. There's just so many little rewards that I didn't know, and so many little things that on a daily basis just make me smile, make me happy, make me feel more content and more fulfilled than I really have ever been. And I didn't expect that. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah, me as well. Absolutely. I feel the same. The only regret I would have, well, not really regret, but I just think now I'm like, what an idiot I was. I should have done it earlier. Like I think back at all the things oh my God, the lack of sleep and this and that. And yeah, okay, so my sleep has sucked, but at times, but it's really not that. You can handle things better too. I think that's the other thing is like we get a little soft.
Right.
Don't realize that when the time comes, you'll deal with that stuff and it won't. You'll handle it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, right? Like, well, now I was 42, and by that time I'd already done a lot of traveling and done a lot of cool things. So once Samara came along, I didn't feel the urge to do that as much. So now I feel a lot more content just being at home.
Yeah.
Whereas, I think if you have kids younger, you still want to do those things, travel around, go to pubs, go to malls, go out and do stuff. And if you have a kid, you can't. So I think there's pros and cons on both sides, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't really, I'm pretty content, Go ahead.
I was gonna say part of it is that compared to our ancestors, I'd say we start our lives so late.
Yeah.
Like I guess if I was right, because like if you started when you're 16 and then you could get in, you could travel and build your career and do all these things. You'd have 15 years and then you'd be 30 and you could still have lots of kids if you wanted to, right? But now we wait so long, at least I did, and I think it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
So now it's more like, God, I was 50 when I had my babies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a little push.
Exactly.
40 is not too bad for men. But
yeah.
I mean, that's the good thing too. It's very different for men and women.
Right. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, most of the people that I know went to university, went to masters, some went on a PhD, and by the time they finish all that, they're like mid-30s already. They've just barely finished school.
Right.
Whatever.
Right. They're just getting started with their adult life, really.
Yeah. So I think you're right. And of course, our life expectancy is longer. You and I, we would be venerable old men hundreds or 1,500, 2,000 years ago, because the life expectancy was about 50 to 55.
Right.
So yeah, all those factors come into play. But I'm pretty happy. I think I've mellowed out. I think if I'd have been younger, I would have been a bit more stressed out. I probably wouldn't have been quite as easygoing. I think I've learned a lot personally about myself just becoming a dad, and being older I think helps because I'm not as short-tempered as I used to be. All those things that come along with being older and a bit more experienced. And like I said, I don't feel the urge to go out to clubs or pubs or restaurants anymore. But if I had a kid and I was 20, I might want to leave them at home and go out. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think a lot of people do that when they have kids when they're younger. They're like, oh, I still want to live my life too.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point. Yes, because they just go. They're just in school, where they're basically stuck in school. They can't do anything, and then they just go and well, like this is what my parents did, and then they got married, and they have kids really soon, and there's no period where they really explore or try something different or anything. So yeah, I guess that would. I mean, I'm definitely glad too that I'm way more relaxed and patient. And when I was 20, I would have been a terrible dad.
Yeah, I think
25.
Yeah,
I would have been terrible.
Same, I agree. Yeah, I'm a lot more patient and self-confident, and a lot of those things that come just with experience and being older. Like you said, if I was 20 or even 30 years old, I would not be awesome.
And another nice thing that, like me, you're home a lot, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So all those things help. And I think too, another thing that's changed, like we only have one kid, and I know my parents have 4, 5, 6 siblings. Families were larger,
Yeah.
but we're getting smaller and smaller, at least in some places, in some areas of the world.
Well, this is the one thing I would have, why I wish I had started a bit earlier, because I would like to, Tomo and I both have said we'd love to have more, but we're not sure we can handle more, because we have twins.
Right.
We have twins. And so ideally, maybe 4 or 5 years from now we could, but at that point, God, I'm getting a bit old. So
Yeah.
it does limit that. So we'll see.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'll be 60 when Samara's, 18,
Mm-hmm.
and basically, by our standards, she's just kind of coming of age, and that I feel sometimes that's a bit late. I wish I would have started younger, but
But it's
like
better
I said,
than never, right? That's how I look
Yeah,
at it. It's like,
exactly.
okay, well, it's better than never. I think that it is good, though. Just one reason I wanted to chat about this is because I've talked about some topics like this, and there are a lot of people who just, that I think they want kids. I even can think of some just friends I know that they say they want kids, but then all these fears come up, like you were saying, like,
Right.
oh, I don't know if I can handle it. And, and this, and I just could say, just do it. I know what you're talking about
Yeah.
because I went through all of that myself. And a lot
Right.
of those things are really nothing when they actually happen.
Yeah, I remember our story, like I was living in Kuala Lumpur,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife Wiwik was in Jakarta, and we knew the due date and everything, and we had planned on me, flying in for the weekend and having a C-section because the doctor had already said that's your best option. Well, Samara didn't cooperate. She came a few days early, and we didn't expect it. And I just remember I came and she was already a few days old, and I just remember holding her, and she's like this big, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna break her.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm gonna drop her and break her like a glass or a vase. And I was terrified. I was like, now what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
But it's kind of built in a little bit. Like you just kind of take over and you figure it out, and you have, people to help you. There's family and doctors and friends, and people can give you advice, and you just kind of work your way through. Because I was terrified. And in Indonesia, they do some interesting things that we didn't do in America. Like they keep the umbilical cord on for a while and they wrap it,
Oh,
and
interesting.
then they wrap the babies really tight. There's a couple of traditions that they do that I just wasn't really used to or ready for. Like I was like, whoa, that's kind of different.
Yeah.
And they take them out in the sun every day for 20 or 30 minutes, and it's good for their health and everything.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
So there's
that's
a couple
good.
different things
See, I'm
that
going to tell Tomoe about that.
culturally. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a couple things that culturally I didn't know and didn't expect. The sunning thing is pretty big here. Like even now during the COVID times, all the Indonesians are like, jamur, which means go out in the sun,
Yes.
get sun, get some vitamin D.
Vitamin D, exactly. Yes.
Actually, I heard you mention that yesterday.
Yeah, man, it's great. It's great.
The benefits of
That's
vitamin
the
D.
free way.
So
Is just go out in the
I
sun.
think, so I think that's some cool traditions that I wasn't really aware of. You marry into a different culture, and obviously you learn as you go because you don't know everything. And just, I've got some really interesting and funny stories. I mean, along those lines of being terrified, we and Samara and I were, we were visiting a friend, and it was like a coffee shop or something. And this lady came in, and she was holding Samara, and she didn't say anything to me, and she just took off with Samara, and we didn't see her, and I was like, crap, she's kidnapping our baby. Like, I literally followed her around the block because I didn't know who she was,
Yeah.
and she was just taking her out to get some sun, and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, who is this lady that just walked off with my baby, and I don't know where she's going or who she is. So I just kind of did like a private eye, like a stealth mode, and I just kind of secretly and quietly followed her. And then she came back, and my wife was laughing at me, like, I was like, I didn't know who that was, and she just kind of grabbed the baby and took off and didn't say anything.
Oh, they don't do
So,
that in Japan. Although
no,
the old people do want to hold them all the time,
yeah,
but they won't just take them. I'd freak out too. I think.
yeah, I kind of freaked out. You know, I definitely, obviously, I remember it because it made an impression on me, and I was like, what is going on? Like in America, if someone did that, you'd call the police. Like if a stranger
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
came in to the shop and grabbed your baby and took off, you'd call the police.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
but in Indonesia, it's quite common for family and friends and community and even extended friends that you may not know that well. They just kind of take care of the baby, like the whole community
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
takes care of it. Um, but yeah, like you were saying, I was terrified. I was like, what's going on?
But yeah, like you said though, there's two things that happen. One is like obviously there's a natural, instinct or something that takes over because I
Yeah,
mean humans. That's how the human race survives. So
yeah,
we've got to be able to
yeah,
handle it at some level. And then the
yeah,
second thing is that right, you're not completely alone. I mean, you've got, other family members, either
yeah,
like yours or your wife's and etc.
yeah,
And you can add and then so there's lots of people you can ask questions and say, oh, there, this is happening or
yeah,
that's happening. What should we do? And it just, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was the same, well, we had twins and one of them was so tiny. Our boy was
right.
he was tiny, tiny, and but yeah, I just remember the first few days I was paranoid of dropping him. I just hold him
Yeah,
like and if I was walking, I would just you know.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm
I was
still
doing the same,
careful
like,
actually though. I'm still
yeah,
very. It's always in my head, right? Like if I fell, how would I,
yeah,
would I roll or I just protect them or?
yeah, yeah. I think there's some instinct there,
Mm.
and I was really careful about supporting the neck and the head and everything. I would just be like, am I doing this right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, but obviously she's made it to 8 years old. She just turned 8 the other day.
Oh,
Um,
nice, 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 nice.
that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those things. And one thing that I really do appreciate about Asia in general, and that's different than America, like there really is a community. Like we've never had a babysitter because you don't have to,
Ah,
because there's
nice.
always somebody that will watch. And not that we go off or go out or do things that often, but you don't get strangers to watch your kids. You don't pay people. You just kind of leave them at family or friend's house,
Yeah.
and you do the same for them. Like you just kind of trade. Hey, So in 8 years, we've never had a babysitter, and probably never will, because then you just don't do that.
Oh, that's nice.
Not like you would back home. So
Pretty.
it's a little bit more like that whole community. It takes a village to raise a child, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is nice. It's. I don't know if I can. I don't know. I can't really speak for all of Japanese culture, but certainly with Tomoe's family, it's that way. She's got two sisters, and then her
Yeah,
parents, and um, like one time I got sick, and Tomoe needed help, and so her mom just came over and stayed
yeah,
and helped out, and
exactly.
so yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the other thing I've done, and I don't know what you guys do, but Samara still sleeps with us. Like in America, she would sleep in a different room with the baby monitor,
We do, yeah.
and we don't do that because that's just not our
I don't
culture.
like
It's
the
not the same.
American way. I don't like it at all.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
separate the babies. So I mean, some parents do it immediately.
at birth, like within a few days, they start sleeping in a separate bed and sleeping in a different room.
And then different rooms very, very early too. And I mean, that is the American, probably the normal American way. We don't do that. I don't like it either. No, with the babies sleep with us.
Yeah, I think once again I learned that from my wife. I've learned a lot, being married in a different culture and living here.
I think that I think a lot of cultures have some. Americans go way too far sometimes with the whole independence thing. It's like, they're babies. Right. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just a lot of different things. Like here, the tradition is you eat with your hands, and you feed your babies with your hands. You don't use a spoon. You take the food and you put it in their mouth. So and obviously that would have been the original way.
Right.
That's before we had utensils and different things. So I haven't 100% adapted to that, to be honest. I still do it my old-fashioned way. But they quite often eat from the same plate or feed each other, something that we wouldn't do in America.
Even at a later age, so not just babies.
Yeah, not just babies. And it's just part of the culture, I think, because you see other people doing it and you see it in public. And in fact, it would be the opposite. Back home, you'd tell your kid, mind your manners, don't play with your food.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's like you definitely eat with your right hand, and it's not playing with your food. So I think the first time my mom came over, she commented on that. She was like, in America, they would tell her that she was so rude, touching her food with her hands. Like they would tell her, mind your manners, and be a proper young lady and all that sort of thing.
I think that because of that, though, that in Asia, probably in other parts of the world too, that families are closer. Like I find American families can be they feel cold to me now, colder.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, what you're talking about.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And now I understand, when we were in America, I personally, and a lot of people that I know, didn't understand why you would have 6 or 8 or 10 people living in the same house.
Right.
That immigrants, that would be Asians or Hispanics, and they would all live in the same house and sleep in the same room, and you would have one American house that had like 2 people.
Right.
And now I really understand, like,
they actually like each other.
The various, yeah, exactly.
They want to be together.
The cultural reasons, the economic reasons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good reasons to all stay together as a family.
Yeah.
Whereas, in our Western culture, it's kind of like, well, when you hit 18, you got to leave.
Yeah.
Kind of kicked out of the nest.
Yeah.
But I definitely noticed here, one house can have multiple generations, grandparents.
And see, the thing is, though, America used to be that way, because I have talked to my mom and my grandmother especially, and like that was when my mom, even my mom, grew up. They lived on the same, I think not inside the same house, but like on the same property as her grandmother.
Yeah.
And grandparents, grandmom and granddad.
Yeah.
And then my mom had, 3. There were 4 kids, and so anyway, it was just it was more multi-generational, and even then it was a small town. So then it's also all the aunts and uncles and cousins were all like right in this little area.
Yeah.
And now everyone's scattered everywhere, just like us.
Yeah, exactly. So things have changed and evolved, but I definitely like that. Samara sleeps with us, and even when now we're in Bali and Weebek's family's in Jakarta, but when they come, there might be 4 or 5 family members sleeping in the same room. But in America, that would not be acceptable. It would be like, you're invading my privacy.
Right. Exactly.
So, but it definitely helps. And that's how you learn. And like I said, you don't have to pay for babysitters.
Yeah. Nice.
there's some advantage to that as well. One thing I thought of today, because I was thinking about, when we're going to chat, and I was like, one thing I made a decision, and I think early on, a couple of things that I consciously didn't do. Like I didn't really want people to say, "Oh, she's a beautiful princess." So, you know, I saw so many dads that would post their kids' photos on Facebook, and they would kind of say, "Look at my princess." And of course, every dad loves their daughter and thinks she's a princess. So I made a conscious decision to not do that, for lots of different reasons. But I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, I think it was a pretty good decision because I don't really love that stereotype.
Yeah, I think there's a, like dads, I don't know what it's like with moms and sons, let's say, but for dads, I think, like just, I can tell, even as already at their age, babies, that, because I have one of each, like, I know I gotta fight against that, like, oh, the daughter's so cute, and so they're both really cute, but you know what I mean? As they get older, like, to not spoil. I think it's maybe easier for a dad to spoil the daughters and to be maybe a little more, I guess, because I understand boys better.
Right.
So yeah, because I think it can go too far, and then the girls can become kind of bratty if they need a bit of firmness too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to happen in their personalities as they grow. I mean, Samara's old enough now; she's got her own personality, and she's, starting to become her own self. But I kind of just wanted her to be able to take care of herself and be kind of a strong person, and not be a princess that was only valued for her beauty or whatever, and I know that's kind of, I guess, a modern way of seeing it, but I want her to have other things to fall back on, not just being a princess.
Right.
So it's kind of turned into, like, if she falls down and starts crying, I'm like, "Are you a princess?" And she's like, "No," and she'll toughen up.
Well, it's interesting because there is such a difference between, I don't know what, like what WeWick's like, but definitely between like fathers and mothers, in general. Like I've noticed it more, mine are just babies, but like our nephew. So we'll go out and it'll be like Tomoe and my sister-in-law, my nephew's mom, and he'll start doing stuff that they think is just crazy dangerous, right? And they start freaking out, and I'm just laughing. I'm just like, because instantly I remember doing things the same or worse, like he crashes his bike a lot, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's not like they jump over stuff, and they're like running their bikes off of stairs and stuff, and I'm just like, they're kind of freaking out, and I think that's kind of part of the dad's role many times, just to go, don't worry about it, it's okay. Like,
yeah, I think so. I'm very much of the roll around, tumble, get scratched up, get dirty. That's sort of my philosophy.
Yeah.
I don't know if the people, the folks listening remember from last time, but I do outdoor education and adventure education and take kids and adults on adventures, and I just see so many people that aren't tough. They're really, really soft. Like they can't take any.
It's surprising.
Yeah,
especially the city people.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like, they can't take any sort of hardship. They have such a narrow comfort zone. Like they can't stand it if it's too hot or too cold, or they go without sunscreen for 5 minutes or without water. And I try to expand that and say, toughen up a little bit and do something a bit challenging.
And
get out of your comfort.
And so, like, I always imagine, like, as kids, they must have just sat indoors all day because, why are they so freaked out about bugs and it's hot or it's dirty or something, or they get a little scrape and they.
Yeah, and I definitely see that a lot, and because I do that for a job and a profession, it really made me conscious of my own daughter, and I want her to have a big comfort zone, like if she a wide comfort zone. So if she falls down, that's okay.
Right,
You
right.
know,
And she's not afraid of
and
a mosquito or something.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Um, she's pretty brave. She helps, she helps clear our house of chichak, which are like the geckos.
Ah, yeah,
So
yeah.
she'll chase the geckos, or she'll you know pick up the spider. So I've been trying to teach her, like, don't be afraid of life. Don't be afraid of things like spiders and uh, lizards and creepy crawlies, because they're kind of cool.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, exactly. Get it. I think that's a big, like, I know in my childhood I was outdoors all the time,
Yeah.
constantly. And so it's really hard for me to relate actually when I meet uh well, either kids or young people, and they're just like, when I was teaching my last kind of job before I did this, was in San Francisco, and I was teaching kind of like kids who are maybe 23, 22, like just out of college, or some of them maybe a little
Right.
younger. Some of them were so wimpy. I couldn't. It was just I didn't get it. Like I would try to take them out on field trips in San Francisco, and we'd always walk. I'd make them walk, just not that far, but
Right.
if we just walking up a hill, and half of them would be, oh my God, this is so hard. They'd be complaining and whining, and I was like, good Lord, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
It
No,
was,
I totally agree, and that's something I think as parents and teachers, we've got to make sure that people get exposed to that and have a little bit of discomfort and get out of their comfort zones and sweat a little bit, or get bitten by a few bugs, or get dirty on your fingernails, or fall down and scrape your knees, because otherwise you're not really living a full life. you, you know if you're living in a pretty controlled, sterile environment where you never have any sort of element of potential danger, it's just not healthy. It's not good for you.
yeah, and that's that thing. And I think maybe some parents, they think that they're helping by, oh, I'm going to give them everything and but then
Yeah,
they make them weak when you protect them too much, and
yeah,
you spoil them too much, and then they become, God, as
yeah,
adults, they become so weak they can't handle any difficulty.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's definitely one of my mantras. I worked with literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of kids outdoors. Um, and the vast majority that I see nowadays are not going outside and playing. They're not like riding
It's a
bicycles. They're
bigger
not
problem
jumping
now.
in
Yeah.
the river. They're not climbing trees. They're not doing these things that kids are supposed to do. Um, they go to the school, then they go to the mall, and they go home, and they're always in air conditioning, and they always have a box, like a phone,
Screen.
a
Yeah.
screen. Um,
So they're playing video
so,
games, looking at a phone,
yeah,
sitting at a desk. Like you said, they're at the mall. It's all
exactly.
indoors and virtual reality, and
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I, I was hiking with this guy once, and he was a chiropractor um, in Singapore, and he told me he's seeing lots and lots of kids now with back problems because they don't ever walk on uneven terrain. They never go out on outside of the malls and the pavement and the concrete. So, your body's meant to be uneven, and
Right.
you're supposed to walk, but they're always on like an escalator or an elevator or a flat surface. So they
Oh,
never
interesting. Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
never
yeah.
have that challenge. Um, so I took that to heart. I was like, you're supposed to walk on uneven hills,
Yep.
walk up and down. It's not supposed to be flat.
And on
So
uneven dirt and stuff, so that even left to
yeah,
right, and yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
so
interesting.
that I took a lot of that into sort of my philosophy and my approach to raising Samara, and just saying, yep, she's going to be able to play outdoors. Um, One of the things too, I don't know if you do this, but like the 5-second rule. Like if it falls on the floor, you can still eat it.
I can't remember
Because
I can't remember what movie it is, but I always say that, and then sometimes I say, oh, it looks like we gotta go to the 1 minute rule.
yeah, because for that same reason, like so many kids are not challenging their immune system because they don't eat dirt, they don't
Right.
eat soil, they don't play outside, and your body's meant to be exposed to these bacteria to build up.
Right.
And if you do it when you're a kid, you get sick, then it builds up, and you get sick, and it builds up. But if you wait till you're an adult, it's too late. You get really sick
Yeah.
instead of gradually building. And so we encourage her to just be natural. Just go outside.
That's
Get stuff under your fingernails. Pick up the potato chips off the floor and eat them.
both
And
both our babies. Every time I take them, they just grab dirt, and I gotta watch them because they grab rocks. I'm like, but they're just constantly eating dirt. We have to
yeah. And you just reminded me of another one too. Like the very first time, because a lot of the kids that I work with, they have lots of allergies, especially peanuts and gluten and things. And the first time she ate peanuts, I was terrified. I was like watching her.
Yeah.
'Cause, it can be severe, pretty serious.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah. What do you think is going on with that? You think it's the same thing? They're so weak because they're never exposed to anything.
I think that's part of it. If you never have those, if you're never exposed to those kind of things, those allergens, then you never really have a reaction to it. So then when you get it later
Very
in
strong.
life, have a strong reaction to it. So it's a little bit in the same. I'm definitely not an expert on that, but I think that's part of it.
Yeah, because I just don't remember it when I was a kid. Like nobody, kids having 1,000 allergies all the time. I can't even think I remember one case of it.
I
Don't give him a
remember
peanut or he'll die.
Yeah. And I never remember that when I was a kid. I don't know
I don't either.
any of my friends that had allergies, but it's definitely become more problematic in the last 10 or even 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot more chemicals in our food.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm sure there's that
Well,
sort of thing too. Yeah.
So it's a good question. I've asked experts, and the truth is nobody really knows that I've talked to. I've tried to do a bit of research on it, so I don't really know the reason why we're seeing more and more allergies. But it's definitely, there's some link to the fact that we're not exposed to these things early enough, and we're also eating more
Processed
artificial
and-
things.
Yeah.
Processed things. I think those are factors. They might not be the full story. It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
So I think because what I do, like working with kids and taking them outdoors, that's definitely impacted my sort of philosophy as a dad, like wanting Samara to be like a natural kid, a free range kid.
Yeah. That's a good phrase. Yeah.
So, I know not everyone has that, especially if you do live in a city.
But that on the other hand, like my nephew, we live in the city, but we got a park near us, and he is like nature boy. I mean, he fishes in the little yucky pond over there. He catches crayfish in the little stream at the park. Our tiny little playground out here. He hunts for cicadas. He finds them when they're they're in that season.
Cool.
So he still manages to do it, and then he goes to his grandparents, which is out in the countryside. But he still does. It's if you got a park, it's still amazing that you can.
I think so. I think at least in most cities, even I've got friends in Bangkok. They go to the Green Lungs in Bangkok.
Yeah.
and I used to live in Kuala
Lumpini Park.
Lumpur.
Yeah, it's nice. Yes.
So yeah, you can find something. There's always a park, or there's always a weekend where you can get away for a
Yep.
holiday.
Yep.
You know, um,
Yeah, like
and just
yeah,
get out
Bangkok
there.
is a crazy huge. KL has some good green spaces in different places.
Right.
San Francisco has Golden Gate Park and a few
Yeah.
others. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like you said, even if you live in a city, you can find it if you look for it.
Yeah, just make a little more effort maybe in the city. But
Yeah.
I just recently, why don't we do some I'm gonna check chat here and see if
All
anyone's
right.
got questions.
Cool.
A lot of stuff saying, how do you make children not eat everything like dirt and stones? I
Yeah.
mean, they're gonna do some of it's not bad. I mean, that's what we're basically saying.
Right.
The stones aren't
Yeah.
so good. That's what I'm constantly. You just gotta watch them.
Yeah. I mean, whenever they're young and they eat something like a peanut or something that could get lodged in the throat, that's when you get a little nervous. You're like,
Yes.
uh-oh, gotta watch it, especially with the stone.
Yeah, that's exactly. That guy just got to follow around, and every time
Yeah.
it's especially our daughter is always trying to
Yeah.
pick up rocks and she puts them in her mouth, and I'm like, yeah, get it out of their mouth.
Yeah. And, aside from that extreme, which you don't want them to eat a stone and choke, but it's kind of that's how we learn. We are sensory animals. We want to smell, taste, touch, and especially when you're a kid, that's how you learn about your world. You pick something up and put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
So like, yeah, a little bit of dirt or bark or
a
sand,
leaf or a stick, whatever.
Yeah. Or leaves.
Yeah.
All that stuff's okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
I mean, obviously.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, obviously, you don't want them to eat like a whole tree.
Yeah,
But
right.
if they pick up a leaf and punch on it, that's not really gonna kill you. It's you just have to be careful. Watch it.
Okay, Leonardo Parigi says, what is a question for you both? What is the best thing you have learned or experienced since you became fathers?
You want to go first?
Let me think for a second. The best thing I've learned or experienced. I mean, it's just hard. It's just the connection, right? With with all four of us actually. It made our it made my connection with Tomoe closer because now we have this shared purpose, of raising the babies and then just the incredible strong connection with them too. It's just like I'm just happy. Like I never want to be away from them. I don't want to be a babysitter. I like we're almost always together. I mean, I always have before like maybe I'd get lonely sometimes, and now I never. Because even I go out for a walk, I'm carrying a baby, at least one of them. So at least the first year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. One thing I think of too, and I see this a lot in Samara, and you'll see it as they get older, but that sense of wonder and curiosity. In my life, I've probably seen 10,000 grasshoppers, 10,000 squirrels, whatever, just so many things. But to a kid, they're all brand new.
Yeah.
And they're so interesting. You're like, once in a while, Samara will be like, Daddy, look, it's a leaf and it's got orange and green and brown. And she'll just be so excited.
Yeah.
And then I have to think back, I used to be that excited. But, a topic I know you're very fond of, we go to school and it gets trained out of us.
Right.
We get drilled. It gets drilled out of us. Our sense of wonder and awe and curiosity. It gets schooled out of us along the way, and we should be more childlike in our approach to life. Like, wow, that is a beautiful tree. I've seen a million trees in my life, but still, I should be so curious about the simple things. And I think that's a big lesson that I have to always remember and learn again, like seeing the world through her eyes.
Yeah.
Everything
Nice.
you like, whoa, look, that's grass. And I'm like, yeah, that's grass. But to her, it's like, whoa, that's an amazing, cool thing I've never seen.
Right, right, right. That's great.
And I think you'll see that as they get older, and start, speaking and telling you and all these things, because you'll be like, whoa, yeah, I kind of forgot that that was really cool.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's great. Now I'm looking forward to that actually too, and just
Yeah,
learning about things that they get into that maybe
yeah,
that I never
exactly.
even thought about.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Oh, not related, but someone said, Joe says, I found out that one famous person comes from your hometown of Athens. Can you guess who it is?
Could be Michael Stipe.
Yeah, Michael Stipe from REM. Yes, we all know. Everyone in Athens knows Michael Stipe. Not personally,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah,
we all know who he is. And
we
yes,
know of him.
we know of him.
I did meet him once.
Did you meet him
I
once?
think everyone has sort of a Michael Stipe story if you live in Athens long enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Does he still live
So
there? He
interesting.
still lives there. The other guys moved, right? Or at least some of them
Yeah,
moved.
as far as I know,
Yeah, it's
but
hard.
I haven't been there in 20 years, so I don't really know.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's see. That goes. Okay, let's see. Be careful to educate your children to be grateful. If not, they'll throw you in a nursing home and blame after.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe. Uh,
yeah,
that's also though different culturally.
yeah. That we do a little bit. I don't, you know, we don't do it all the time, but we do give thanks. We are grateful. We do mindfulness. It's something that we're aware of, like just being happy and thankful for what you have, and thinking, and we'll just do simple things like, wow, we've got brownies tonight. We're so lucky.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
How many
nice.
people in the world wish they had brownies? And we'll do that just
Yeah,
to remind ourselves that we are pretty lucky.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's part of the gratitude and being grateful. But
yeah.
yeah, it, you never know. But in general, they don't do that in Indonesia. They don't put you in old folks' homes.
Right, right,
You usually live with your kids or whatever.
right. Exactly. Here too. Um, I think the other part is in the States, like it's also like what they see you do. Like if they see you being respectful to older people, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I don't know. I found that topic quite funny.
That's funny.
Uh, let's see. All right, a couple more questions. I think I was asking what the topic is. Fatherhood.
Yeah.
Let's see. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's nice. Jeremy again's just more of a comment. Said, uh, me and my two brothers and friends would throw our school bags in our house after school, and then we played outside the whole time for our free time. That's what I did. Exactly. That was my
Yeah.
childhood. It was run home, dump everything, change my clothes, run outside until
That's
bed,
it.
basically until dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. And I think that's, one of the issues that we're facing with modern lifestyle is we don't do that anymore.
And it's not just the
You know?
indoor part. I think it's also the freedom, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being scheduled, like, okay, now you have your piano class, and then you have your math tutor, and then you have
Play
your
dates. What, like
yeah, yeah,
you have to
yeah,
schedule. You have to schedule that you're going to have fun. So I'm going to have fun between 3 and 4 o'clock. That doesn't make sense to me.
me
Like,
neither.
you just go out and run and play, and
Yeah,
some
yeah,
days people would show up and some days they wouldn't, but you'd still be outside.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
never it's changed so much too. Like you never knew where people were. You just have to run around and find them.
Yeah,
Like there was no phone,
my
no,
mom would just scream,
you know.
"Hey,
Yeah.
Jay!" And I just have, oh, I gotta go, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so all of that's changed. And what's really changed too is adults give too much structure
You're way
to
too
kids,
much.
and
Yes.
they supervise and they impose rules. Like, we made up rules in games, and it would just be kids, and the kids would kind of self manage themselves and be like, that's not fair. That rule is not working, and that's how you learn
Yeah,
to,
exactly. Or if someone
negotiate, or you
cheated,
learn.
then everyone would stop and you would say, no, you can't. And then it had this big, yeah,
Yeah,
like you said, negotiation until some deal was reached.
yeah. And now the adults are just too involved with
Yeah.
that. They don't let kids just work it out on their own. Just go outside, make up a game, see if the rules work, argue about it, negotiate. All those are what they call the soft skills that
Right.
you should learn, like negotiation and listening and all that. And you know, when someone tells you, when an adult tells you, then you don't do it yourself.
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's that unstructured time to explore and figure
Yeah,
stuff out and also just to be bored. That's the other thing. Because I can remember with my friends, I had this big group of friends, and we would there'd be sometimes we'd be sitting around like, what do you want to do? I don't know. And but we
yeah,
have to go through that until we had to figure out on our own, right? Like
yeah,
some adult wasn't telling us, well, you got to do this. Now it's time to play
yeah,
football, you know?
yeah. There's a couple. You just reminded me. Like, boredom is a great teacher. You just get really creative when you're bored. You'll just make up a game. Like, hey, what do you got? I've got some tape. What do you got? A stick. Well, let's wrap the tape around a stick and make something, and it becomes some object, or whatever, a stick ball, or you just make stuff up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and nowadays, if all the games are already pre-invented and pre-packaged, you're not as creative because you kind of
Right.
follow the rules instead of inventing the rules. Uh,
Exactly.
and the other one is failure. Like, failure is such a good teaching tool. If you fail, you learn a lot more than if you succeed. And when you're bored and I think the two kind of go hand in hand. Like, when you're bored, you'll make up things and create things and try it, and then it doesn't work. You fail, and then you try another one, and it
Right.
works.
Right.
How many times did I try to make an awesome bow and arrow out of a stick and a string, and it just failed? I just didn't know how to do it because I wanted to have an awesome bow and arrow like Robin Hood, and I could never do it. But I just kept trying and failing and trying and failing and learned. You learn from that.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to another one. Let's see. What is the meaning of fatherhood? It says
Good
omni.
question.
Uh, well, yeah, I don't know if I could. I mean, it's a role, like you're
Yeah.
one of the leaders. You're one of two people raising the children, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just naturally, I don't know that you need to define it so consciously, because I think it just naturally comes out, right? Like that
Yeah.
you and your wife are going to have different personalities and just different strengths and weaknesses. And
Right.
I find they just come out. We don't really even talk about it so much. It just seems to happen
Yeah.
naturally.
I agree, and I think one thing we're really careful of is, like, my wife has a different style, and I never correct her. She does it her way. But if I do something, she never corrects me. She doesn't impose her style on me. So I really think that's
That's
really
nice.
valuable.
Yep.
Because sometimes the parents can argue over parenting styles, like correcting each other, like, you shouldn't do it that way. But
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
um,
So just each
but
have
yeah,
your
as
own
far as
style.
a meaning, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Sharing what you know, sharing your knowledge, your experience, trying to teach what you know to someone. Um,
Yeah, I mean, because
that
ideally,
might
right?
be part of it.
It's your job to prepare them to be, self-reliant adults.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
yeah, I agree.
happy ones.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good question. I don't know if I know a good answer.
Fernando says, "Hey guys, what do you think about attachment parenting?" Um, I've heard the phrase. I don't actually know what that means exactly. I guess it just means doing things to maximize the attachment. He says he has a 1-year-old baby. I'm trying to apply this kind of thing. I'm guessing maybe it's kind of like, well, like having them sleep in the same room with you, or the same bed with you even. Like I'm all for that. Like like I said, I'm with them. The babies are with us all the time.
Yeah.
Like we're playing with them or carrying them or something all the time, and I'm sure you're together most of the time.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. I just looking it up because I've never heard of that. But it just says a philosophy that emphasizes the closeness of bodily touch, which
Okay.
I think that's important.
Me too. Especially at that young age, the babies.
Yeah, I think, and if we are correct in our assumption, what I just looked up, it just means you are always close physically with your kids. You make sure they know you're. And like we were saying, they sleep with us. Like Samara sleeps with us. Some nights she'll gravitate towards me. Some nights towards her mom. Depends on who she's in the mood to, sleep with. But I think it reminds me, like in my university, and you probably remember this too. We all learn about the famous study with the monkeys.
All right.
There's the wire mom that's made out of wire, and there's the mom that's made out of wire, but they put some carpet on the mom, and just that carpet made the monkey a little bit more warm and physically attractive, like made that mom a little bit more mammal-like.
Right.
Versus the wire one, which was cold and sterile.
Yep.
And do you remember that? Like that
I
was.
do remember it. Yeah.
I don't even know, a study from the 70s or 80s maybe.
Yeah.
But they found that the monkeys that didn't have physical touch suffered mentally and emotionally compared to the ones that did.
Yeah.
So turns out that it's pretty important.
Yeah, I think so too. And like when we were, like we'd always carry the babies. We don't even have a stroller.
Yeah.
We just always, like I even do both of them. I've got one on the back and one on the front. And
Yeah.
But I think it does help. I think it creates a nice connection. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I think it's getting a little late. It's I know Tomoe's in there, probably ready to go to bed. It was great chatting. Good.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely good.
Yeah, we'll do another one. Pick another topic at some point.
Yeah.
And,
cool.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I'm always up for it. It's nice to chat, and I watched you a little bit last night, so it was interesting to be an observer.
Oh yeah, I know. I was surprised when I saw your name on there. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, so it was nice just to see what how you do it. But I enjoy it, so I appreciate it. We'll do it again when you're ready.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. I'm always. It helps me because I got to think of a topic every day. So, like yesterday, my brain was fried, and
Yeah.
All right, cool. Kenny. Good talking to you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Yep.
Have a good night.
Yep. You too.
Take care.
Okay. You talk to you.
See
later.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. That is it. I'll just wrap it up here. So, thanks all of you who joined and asked some questions. Hope you enjoyed it. Just a pretty casual chat to native speakers of English, chatting about the topic of fatherhood. So I recommend, if you had any trouble understanding anything, vocab or something, listen to it a few times. The repetition can be helpful. You might pick out and understand, or even just guess the meaning of a few words. Like someone was asking, what does wimpy mean? It means kind of weak. I know Jarmila answered that question, but anyway, I'll have Kenny back on again, and we'll talk about another topic. It's good because he's, like I said, he's a native speaker. He's American as well. Okay. Okay, guys, lots of love to you. Gab is down right now, so you can't contact me on Gab, but hopefully Gab will be. They're doing some kind of massive upgrade. It seems like they messed up and have some problems. But anyway, hopefully they'll be back online soon. All right, join my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.